Okay, we're ready for round 4. It still doesn't look too impressive, does it? But we're using Pepper, which is the lovely red colour, for the first time, and that's got to be a good thing. I just wanted to show you, this is rounds 1 to 4 complete. Now, if you look at our mandala, what? It's so good, isn't it? Because you cannot see how this red part here, if I hold it up like that, how's that blending in with those sort of kind of poinsettia petals? It's just, this is the beauty of overlay crochet. You can create stitches like this which look like one kind of big complete stitch, and you're making that over lots of rounds. So it just gives you a little idea how, if I hold it down like that, maybe, can you see how that's going to blend into that and just look amazing? So round 4 is an interesting round because we have got our first front post stitch. Now that's this one here, a front post treble. Can you see that? It's that longer stitch, the long stitch that's going around here, and it's going around, it's been worked around one of the popcorn stitches from round 2. Don't worry, because I'm going to show you how to do that. So that's the first interesting thing in our round, and the second interesting thing is needle join, which we're going to be using throughout, and I'll show you how to do that as well. Right, we need to join Pepper, this lovely red, into any of the chain spaces, the 4 chain spaces from round 3. So I'll just pick one here. I'm just going to pull up a loop. Okay, that's not in any way secure. So what I'm going to do now, oops, it's always fiddly this part, is I'm just going to secure it by pulling the yarn through it again. Now, I think in the pattern it says that this can count as your first stitch, but I'm going to tell you something, I'm not going to count that as my first stitch. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 double crochet because I never feel that that first stitch is very secure, and we can hide it easy peasy by going over it. So let's just put 2 double crochet in there. Again, little reminder, these are UK terms. Alright, so I've just done 2 double crochet in there and it's nice and secure now, and I'm happy, people, and that's what it's all about, keeping me happy. Right, here we go then with a front post treble crochet. Please don't panic. You know how to do a treble, don't you? Yarn round the hook. We can all get to that stage nice and confidently. Now the front post treble is being worked around one of the popcorn stitches, or all the popcorn stitches actually, but for now one of the popcorn stitches from round 2. So that's one of these little bumps. You can see that I've joined my yarn in here, so the most immediate popcorn stitch from round 2 is this one just to the left here. So let's go and I'll show you how you do that. So I'm going to put yarn around my hook, and I'm going to take my hook and insert it front to back, can't even see where I'm putting it, front to back around that popcorn stitch. I'm going to do that again. So can you see the daylight through there and around the popcorn stitch? So my hook is now going behind the popcorn stitch from round 1. Pulling my yarn through, yarn over and through 2 loops, yarn over and through 2 loops. I'm just finishing it up like a normal treble. And can you see what it's done is it's just going to hold on to that popcorn stitch and highlight it a bit. And if you remember last time I said don't worry too much if your stitches aren't sitting where they should be, because this is going to sort it right out. I'm finishing up with 2 double crochet in that same chain space. Okay, so in each chain space all the way around I'm doing 2 double crochet, 1, 2, I'm doing that front post treble, and I'm doing 2 more double crochet. Let's do it again. There's nothing to hop us across to the next one. I'm going in here and I'm going to do 2 doubles. That's 1 and that's 2. Just crocheting over my end here to try and sort of less sewing in later, so that's why you can just see that behind. I'm going to do front post treble now, so yarn round hook, hook goes front to back around the popcorn from round 2, yarn through 2, over through 2, finishing off my treble in the normal way, finishing off this chain space with 2 doubles. That is it all the way around. One more time, then I'm going to finish off and let you do it by yourself. So next chain space, I've hopped across to 2 doubles, 1, 2. Don't forget UK terminology if you're just picking up on round 4 with us. We're just using UK terminology. Yarn round hook, hook front to back through the next popcorn from round 2. Pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and I'm finishing up in that chain space with 2 doubles. So that's what I'm going to be doing all the way round. Sorry about that end, I'll get that out of the way. All the way round, and I'll see you at the end to show you what needle join looks like. Okay, I'm on the last repeat of round 4, and I'm just going to finish the last front post treble. It's a little tricky because I have cut the yarn, because this is take number 589. It's not really, it's just my battery went and lost all the others, so how I laughed. We're nearly there. So last repeat of round 4, and if I just show you, you can see it's really pretty, isn't it? You can see that those front post treble stitches are holding on all the way around to the popcorn stitches, and we're ready to make our to fasten off this round, which is where the magnificent needle join is going to come in. Now we do have a standalone video for needle join if you'd like to go and look at that and practice it separately, but let's just go through it now. It's not too tricky. I've taken the hook out of the work, so you can see there's a live stitch there, and this is how we do needle join. We don't pull the yarn through the stitch before we start it. We keep our stitch live because I just think you can get a much neater finish, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to attempt to thread my needle. This has thwarted progress in the past, but that's happened quite nicely, isn't it? So I've got quite a large loop there, so I'm going to pull it slightly to make it sort of slightly closer to normal stitch size, because what we're doing here is we're wanting to give the appearance that these stitches are continuous with this needle join. So you can sort of see the stitches, you'll be familiar with the stitches looking like a chain. We want that appearance to carry on without like the knotty appearance that you can sometimes get when you fasten off with your crochet work. So here is how you do it. I've threaded the needle, I've pulled the loop down to it so it's roughly the same size as the other stitches, and I'm pulling the yarn with the needle through from back to front of that stitch. Okay, so you can see that the yarn is now coming up from behind the stitch. So what I've done in that action is I've basically added another stitch. I've created a stitch there, and we don't really want extra stitches in our round. So if we've got an extra one there, we need to lose one from somewhere else. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that stitch we've just created sit over the top of the first stitch of the round. Then lo and behold, we will have correct number of stitches. It's just maths. I don't make it up. Just trust me. So there is our first stitch, this little one here. Okay, so we want this created stitch to sit over the top of that first stitch there, and here's how we're going to do it. We are going to, there's stitch number 1, we're going to follow the line of stitch number 2. That's the key for needle join as far as I can tell. So what I do is I put my needle point on the stitch number 2, and I just follow its line. So here it goes up one leg here, disappears under stitch number 3. So I'm going to disappear my needle under stitch number 3, technical term. Pull my yarn through, and I don't want to pull it too tight at the moment, or in fact at all. I just want to just kind of start nudging that stitch in where it's going to sit. If I do that, you can see that it's going to sit over the top there, and you can kind of see what's going to happen, can't you? So let's go back to following stitch line number 2 with our needle. There's stitch number 2, there's leg number 2, and it disappears now. But I don't want to put it down here because look, that's all kind of, nothing's joined up if I do it that way. So I'm going to put it back from whence it came. That yarn's going back from whence it came, and then I'm going to disappear it down where it was going. So you can see, yes, there you go. You can see the needle's disappearing down the end of where stitch number 2 disappears. I'm just going to pull that through. And don't pull it too tight. Got a little bit of fluff there. Let's get rid of that. Don't pull it too tight. And lo and behold, hang on a minute, where has it gone? You can see you've now got a nice continuous line of stitches, or continuous round of stitches. That's an invisible join, and it's so neat and beautiful. I urge you to try it on all your projects. I'm going to just sew the end in on the back, so nothing, again, nothing spectacular about that. I'm just going to pass my needle through the stitches this way. This is rare, actually. This is a rare sight, me sewing ends in as soon as I've finished a round, because it doesn't happen that often. But that's done, and if I do that, I'll snip those ends in a minute. But that is round 4 complete.